Hello. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays, Digestive Health Edition. My name is Sarah Fajera. I'm a registered dietitian, integrative and functional nutrition certified practitioner, and certified health and wellness coach, and wanted to talk about digestive bitters and really just bitter overall. Again, another topic that I've become more and more interested in, and I have just gotten to the point where I've started handing out dandelion root tea left and right in my office because I've become so convinced that the lack of bitter in our diets is really a primary cause often for a lot of the digestive disorders and complaints and issues that so many of us have. So let's dive in and think about why. Let's see if I can convince you, you too, okay? So to begin, healthy digestion, of course, requires digestive enzyme secretion, yes? So we'll talk a little bit about a few different types of secretions that are involved in digestion, but know this just from the get-go, that there's a term called Bitter Deficiency Syndrome, which is a notion that's become really popular in the herbalism community, that posits that many of the digestive disorders that we have currently, that we see digestive enzymes or even supplemental bitters as a cure for, are actually a result of decreased bitter intake overall and impaired digestive enzyme, acid, secretion because of the lack of bitters. So that's kind of principle number one, foundational here, that the idea we're talking about is not just that bitters can be used to treat digestive disorders, although they are sometimes used that way and are sometimes marketed that way, but that they truly can be incorporated into our day-to-day diet in a therapeutic way to support our body's ability to digest and absorb as they are meant to. Yes. So thinking really historically here, what are we missing in our diets? Back to that kind of integrative nutrition, remove and replace piece, right? Bitters very much might be something that you're missing. So why do bitters matter? What are they really doing when it comes to digestion? Well, the truth is that the flavor bitter actually stimulates all digestive secretions in some way. So from saliva to gastric acid, to digestive enzymes, to hormones and bile, right? Even bile from our gallbladder. And each of these works together basically as a solvent, as something that can break down food, to get food into the form that we can best absorb. And both the quality and the quantity of these different digestive enzymes matter. Something else I hear a lot is, this person has really sluggish digestion. They have low stomach acid and low gastric acid production. And I always just think, well, why, right? Why? What's going on? Because if there's a quantity issue, what can we bring in to stimulate some more of those digestive enzymes to be secreted? So let's think first about saliva. When you first taste bitter, you may have had this experience, you do secrete just automatically more saliva in your mouth. And that does begin, of course, the process of digestion. A lot of starch breakdown, like amylase breakdown, begins in your mouth. And also, some of those secretions actually begin to work on fats as well, even before they get very far down. And believe it or not, there are over 25 different bitter taste receptors that recognize the presence of bitters and trigger really a whole system-wide, a whole digestive response to start kicking in. Bitter receptors are not only on our tongue, this is amazing, but they are really actually found all throughout our digestive tract. So you can think of tasting bitter, swallowing bitter, and that bitter flavor kind of acting as a bit of a sensor, right? As it travels down the digestive tract to let your body know, all right, it's time, right? It's time to start secreting what we need to digest this food. So gastric acid. Bitters also stimulate secretion of the hormone gastrin, which actually regulates the production of gastric acid. And this is another case where sometimes people will supplement with hydrochloric acid or gastric acid, like very high doses actually. But in fact, as a fundamental approach, it really, again, makes more sense to restore bitters to the diet, which will allow your body to produce or become more efficient at producing its own digestive enzymes and secretions. I think there's really a beautiful kind of homeostasis that happens too when we're relying on what our bodies are able to do. Because supplementing with something like hydrochloric acid or even digestive enzymes isn't really working within our homeostatic framework, right? It's taking in something from the outside. And it's a little bit, it's just so different, right? We're not actually self-regulating the amount of acid or enzymes that we truly need to meet whatever demand is being set on us. So yeah, instead of sidestepping the issue, right? And then bile. All right, let's talk about bile. So bile, you may be aware, basically is secreted. Liver and gallbladder work together to store and then secrete bile when it's needed. A big role in digesting both fat and also protein, actually. But bile flow also helps to normalize blood sugar. So of course it works on the pancreas to secrete pancreatic enzymes, right? And then bile as well, which all ensure healthy flow, both of dietary fat absorption and just overall help to stimulate peristalsis, like that movement of the muscles, the rings in the GI tract to move at the right pace. That's also an important role of bile. Healthy bile flow also helps to prevent gallstones, and also, again, breaks down those fatty acids so that we can actually absorb like fat soluble nutrients, for instance, right? So it's pretty amazing what an impact these bitters can truly have. And one of the big issues I think that we're facing, here in our modern food environment, is that we have a lot of these taste imbalances. Bitter is not something that we are necessarily comfortable with, right? Many people have an aversion to bitters, just because we, maybe haven't grown up with them, right? Because they're just so intense. And in fact, the balance has been thrown off in the favor of sweetness oftentimes. When you think about just historically what sweet foods were like for our ancestors, whether it be even pure sugarcane or licorice root or stevia, for instance, those things all contain bitter compounds as well as sweetness. But what's happened now as we've adopted a more processed or refined diet is that a lot of the bitter compounds, even in something like stevia, have been refined right out. So now we're often left with just the sweet compounds, even of foods that many years ago would have had more naturally occurring bitterness to them, even if they were also sweet, So now that these bitter compounds are a little bit more difficult to come by, what's a girl to do, right? How do you go about this? All right, well, so one idea is, of course, supplementing with digestive bitters. I'm going to link you to a great podcast that I did with Guido Masse, who talks, who in this podcast just, it will blow your mind if you're interested in this. And he works with Urban Moonshine, which is a really popular source for digestive bitters. But some foods, if you'd like to go that route, some foods that you can bring in would be ginger, arugula, the green arugula, chicory or endive. Those are greens you could build into a salad, or you can even pop, whether it's like egg salad or tuna or something, into chicory. You can use it as like a little boat, right? Kale is, of course, bitter. Milk thistle, get milk thistle tea. Dandelion greens or dandelion root tea. Those are options as well. So those are just a few ideas for ways to build in before meal bitters, or even to just introduce a tea, a couple times a day that has some bitter compounds to see for yourself what you notice in terms of the efficiency of your own digestion. So, okay. So Jess, I see your question. I see your question there. Yeah. So kind of sensitive to bitter flavors. Yeah. So Jess is saying here that she tastes bitter more than other people. And in fact, Jess, you might know this. There are some genetic tendencies that can cause some individuals to taste bitter to a greater degree. So one way to address this, I had talked with Guido actually about this on the podcast, is you can take a capsule. I think always food first when you can. But to start with, you could take a capsule of bitter extracts. Because there's bitter receptors all through our GI tract, it's not just in our mouth. There should still be benefit from that. So again, I'll link to this podcast. You can hear some more ideas, but that would be a good starting point. Digestive bitters like liquid extracts also might be an option because you just need a few drops typically. So it might be something you could bring in and build up to slowly. But I hear you. I hear you with the bitter thing because I know, some people really have a strong aversion and reaction. So yes, okay. So thank you all so much for watching and for commenting. And I will plan to see you, probably on Friday. Pop in and we'll talk a little bit about a brain-friendly food or two. I'm going to try to do that with you. So until then, take care. Have a really wonderful night. Stay warm and eat some bitter foods. All right, bye-bye.